is really just summarized by this scene in The Matrix. Sorry, that's just been on repeat this whole time if you've been wondering what's going on. But I feel like what's been going on in the market is, Neo's been beaten down and he's starting to believe. And so I think that we kind of, oh, I just ate a cookie and I spat some of it was oatmeal cookie, sorry. Anyways, live streams, they're fun. Um, and he's just been beaten up, but then he gets up and he's ready to continue battling Mr. Smith. And the movie continues on. And following the movie, there are sequels and stuff. So I think that we're going to have like a really kick ass moment in the market. I could be wrong about it. Sometimes when I get really excited about things, the exact opposite tends to happen. But I feel like morale is really low, beaten down, and we're starting to see stuff move. So that's why I have this meme here, this GIF, because I think that's where we're at. And I'll try to start these streams with something fun like that, just to give kind of like my mindset for the week ahead. And part of that, the topic of being beaten down really comes from Bitcoin, from crypto. I don't know if you guys are into that stuff. If you are, if you're into miners, whatever it is. But October, was supposed to be up. It's supposed to be green. And I don't know what the extent is that it was down, but I remember doing a crypto corner set stacker, I think 2 Saturdays ago, and it was down 6%. Now we're up 0.75%. October is not over. And I think that we could be seeing a really nice November, a really nice December. And so these could be referred to as Uptober, Moonvember, and Bullcember. And actually, there was a meme that I wanted to to put up on that topic. I'll probably record a short with me just reacting to it because it's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, right now, if it's October and it's red, that means there's an opportunity, because if it's green right now, it could go down, to 0.01%, and it'd still be a green month. It'd still be October. So right now there's a little bit of risk if it were to come down to, -6% as it was, as I remember. Might have been lower, not sure. But then there's, an upside potential just to get to break even. And so right now, since it is green, it is October, it's potentially a little bit risky, but we only have a week left. Halloween, October 31st, this coming Friday. And so I'm just really excited. I think that we're back up, we're on our feet, we're going to fight Agent Smith. And whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's tech, stock market, the government's still shut down. Once it opens, there's the FOMC meeting this week, I believe. I think that there's just going to be a lot of, good catalysts into the end of the year. Again, whether it's Bitcoin, crypto in general, the stock market, tech, whatever it is. So right now, I'm just feeling really optimistic, but I feel like we've been beaten down a little bit. We're back on our feet. I think we're going to hit the ground running. And so with that being said, I'm going to start to talk about Mike, Alfred, and Strive, but I also did want to point out this video from Colin Gladman. It came out about 3 hours ago. I watched the first 25 minutes of it before I did some work outside, and then I just watched the last 25 minutes of it when I was getting ready for this, so I must say I paid more attention to the first half of it. But he's talking about not only ASST, comparing that with Beyond Meat, which recently ran a lot, and, but also talking about some similarities, some differences with those stocks, with other stocks. Talked about GameStop a little bit. I'm not sure if he talked about AMC because, to be honest, I was paying attention to other stuff, but I did put out that AMC video earlier today, so you guys do have a resource with that. But I just think that Colin is a great person to follow, whether on YouTube for his periodic videos or, his posts on X. This is a 48-minute long video. He gets into a lot of technical stuff, and that any of these massive pullbacks that we've seen, we might be seeing some pretty nice rallies soon. And that does kind of mesh with this topic of Mike Alfred. So I wanted to go over that. And so Let's go over to this post. This is also from Colin. So this is, you can see his information right here. I don't have his link, the link to his page here, but I do have a link in the description of the video to this video from him. So you can check that out. But from this post, just going to have some fun for a little bit here. Colin is posting about ASST, which is Strive, and he's saying it is pretty much the exact same setup as Beyond before it ran another 670%. Maybe we're missing the move right now. Friday, I think, was the time to buy, but maybe there are some opportunities on a pullback to pick some up. But yeah, I just wanted to go over this. This was from Friday on the 24th. I know that he's participating in it. I know that he's participating in Beyond, but he's also talked about in his video that he's risking what he is fine with going to zero, no big deal. So you got to plan your trades accordingly, what works for you. I am not in either of these, but I am very intrigued by ASST, not just because of the chart setup, but also because of Mike Alfred. So I want to talk about him as well. Just a great person to follow. Also Colin as well. His info is right here. But yeah, I'm just going to click on his little screenshot here for Beyond. So what we can see is this gap down. I was getting requests for it over here. I didn't recognize that, with this increasing volume that we'd see such an upside move. If I would have looked over at the options data, I did glance at it a little bit, but I didn't want to, waste time, on something that I had missed. I just recognized it and I didn't want to get caught up in it. Trade without emotions. And if you're completely wrong about something, good to not follow it. And also good to not buy when things have also gone up, like hundreds of percent. Very risky. Hit a high of over 750, it looks like. And now it's trading around $2. But, saw a gap down, volume starting to pick up, and then it went up. And that looks very similar to the ASST chart. You can see this gap down consolidating, or really just fading down here, lower volume. Volume starts to pick up. And so what you see is this bottom, this would be a red candle. The black candles are red, the white ones are green. And so you'd see this, coming down. And then you start to see it change a little bit, gap up, another gap up. And so that could be happening with ASST. And so it closed on Friday at 110, but then in the after hours trading session, I believe it closed at 124. I don't have a position. I do have some limit orders to buy at 124, 110. I suspect they won't get filled, but this is one for me, like 10 shares, nothing too crazy, just to kind of tag along and participate because I think it has a lot of upside potential, something that I could believe in because I really believe in Mike Alfred, what I've seen from him, from prior stocks. I'll go over some of them in the little, overview of him. But yeah, I think that this could be going up. We got this moving average. I'm not sure what that is exactly on his chart, but that's around 308. So that's a more than 2x up to there, and maybe it goes higher, like Beyond did, but then maybe it pulls back pretty dramatically. And so Beyond at this point, Colin talks about it in his video, but I think could be coming down to like, sub $1. So very risky there. I'm glad I'm not in it. Glad I didn't participate, although I was thinking about buying puts on it, but I decided not to. Don't want to get emotions caught up in things. But yeah, ASST, I think that this could be looking really good. And then kind of funny, on the point of Colin talking about this looking very similar to Beyond. I talk about the Bronx Viking a lot. He works with Colin. You can see his information over here. Two great people. I would encourage you to follow them on X. I've learned a lot about unusual whales and options data from just his posts. He'll post a screenshot and I can really get a lot of information out of that. Maybe it's just the way that my brain works, the way that I like to learn. But generally, I think that I'm just going to move the mic away a little bit for myself because sometimes I talk too close to it. Sorry for the screech there, though. But yeah, I just think he's a great person to follow for options. Him and Colin, they work together. They don't always have the same views. And I think that that's like a really nice balance. You want to be challenging each other. And so with this, it's kind of funny. This is on October 25th. So after Colin had posted that, he's saying, stop saying ASST is the next Beyond. And so while the chart might look very similar as Colin shares here, fundamentally, I think that they're very, very different. And the reason for that, I must say, is because of Mike Alfred, or at least for me, that's why they're different. Bronx continues on here saying that Beyond sells pea and beet sausages that 99% of people here wouldn't touch unless they were competing on fear factor. I think that's a valid point, although I would eat them, but I would much rather have a regular burger or, the sausages. I could go either way because personally I think sausages are kind of gross, but I do like them. But burgers, 100% would rather have the beef. And so what he is saying is that was a pure Wall Street Bets YOLO moment. He's talking about Beyond. And so just because a bunch of sheep or a bunch of people that, whatever, are into something, maybe it's got a squeeze play, but maybe that bleeds out for the next few years and it's not even blood, it's beet juice. And, I just don't want to be following something that's going to be bleeding out over time. I don't think Beyond has fundamentals. I think that it could be going to zero long term. So I don't want to be touching that. But ASST just got an initial 1 million share stamp of approval from Fire Mike Alfred, the guy who nailed BKKT or backed from $7 to $50. Iron from $6 to $75. He was actually buying it lower than that. I believe I'm not exactly sure, but he's talked about it for a really long time with the Wolf of All Streets of Scott Milker. If you're into crypto, I'd encourage following him, whether that's on X or on YouTube. Mike Alfred does come on periodically, and he's just like a very calm, level-headed guy. Initially, I thought he was a little arrogant just because I didn't really understand his personality, his sense of humor. But yeah, he's just an awesome guy. One that, I look up towards, and like, how do I manage emotions? How do I manage my conviction? And, I just think that he's like a really great mentor in this space. Anyways, continuing on here from Bronx Viking, also Cypher. This is one that I do hold. I don't hold Backed or Iron. I have talked about them a little bit, but, I do hold Cypher. My average is, I think, around 17. I've only got a few shares, so nothing crazy, but then I'm not emotional when it does pull back. I had wanted to get another share to pull back to 15, but that didn't happen. But anyways, that's one where it's just like, if it goes below my average, I'll gladly, easily, without any emotion, add to that. And if it does go a lot higher, then, it's not options that expire, so I can just hold those and participate. And, all of these are either going to be either Bitcoin mining or related stocks, energy, and data center stuff like that. So those are all kind of like very integrated plays. And I just think that Mike Alfred is just a really smart guy. And then so Bronx continues, do your own due diligence, of course, and understand the risks like with any trade, but these are completely different plays. I agree with him. Mike Alfred is a savant, and or I don't know if that's a compliment, to be honest. I mean it to be a compliment, but yeah, just like super smart guy, wonderful to listen to talk, and so Bronx reiterates, one was hype, and that was Beyond. The other just got validation from one of the sharpest names on X, sharpest names, on the planet, in my view, just super, super smart there. And that is, of course, Mike Alfred. Link in the description of the video. I was going to put a link to his bio as well as Colin's video in the chat, but I started a little bit late and didn't want to get caught up on that. But yeah, so this is Mike Alfred. You can see his info at Mike Alfred on X. He's just an engaged value investor and board director, recovering tech entrepreneur, ultramarathon runner with 4 100-mile finishes. And so I think that's also, kind of, good to, follow people that have like really good habits. And I think that being dedicated to something like running, having that kind of commitment, that focus, I think that's really good. So anyways, I just think that he's a really neat, very interesting, sharp guy. And I might scroll down through his feed a little bit, but there are a couple posts I did want to highlight before going over some of the charts. This is the one that I referred to in the thumbnail, just having fun with it. I wrote, change this when to bro, so it said, trust me, bro. But this is a post that he put out, I think on Saturday, just saying, trust me when I say this. No one is prepared for what is coming or for what's coming. And this was on, October 25th, around noon. And yeah, so that's what I put in the thumbnail. And then later, he did put this post out. Actually, yeah, I guess it was yesterday evening, October 25th, at Sushi Tonight. He also shares a lot about enjoying really good food, good wine. He's been especially successful, billionaire investor, very successful guy. And he shares his enjoyment of that. I think it's good to remind ourselves to enjoy life, to take time for the things that we do enjoy, whether that's delicious food, tasty wine. He posts about wine a lot, or just family, kids, whatnot. And so here he posts that, at Sushi Tonight, his daughter drew this. He says, I'll just read it, as he wrote it. Actually, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to read it as he wrote it. At Sushi Tonight, my daughter drew this. Uncanny. Only 2.5 years old. And so that is that, ASST at $1, which is around where we're at, give or take, versus, ASST at 50. And so what he's saying is that even if this gaps up to like $2 or $3, it could be, long term, 3 years or so is what happened with iron. So that's the kind of mindset that you want to have. That's why personally I build very small positions. If it's something that I have conviction in, I can very easily add when it pulls back, even if it's above my average. That's the way that I like to trade. You do you. But yeah, if it's trading at $1 or $2 right now and it could be going to 50 years from now, I think it's a good trade. If it goes up to 3 and then pulls back to 1, I think that's a nice opportunity to buy back. But yeah, that's just a fun post from him right there. And I'm just going to do a little bit of scrolling from his feed here. This is him enjoying wine, so I'll like that. And then also, this is from July 8th. He has this pinned, so it's very important to him. Here's a truth bomb that most investors will miss until it's too late. So he's saying Iron isn't just working on partnerships with hyperscalers on a project-by-project basis. It's also quietly and organically growing into a hyperscaler itself. So it's kind of like, a trade, like it's just a really good company to be investing in. I personally don't hold any. I wish I had bought some when it was on my radar at lower, but I didn't. But I wanted to learn more about Mike Alfred, have more confidence in who he is, his theses, and just my understanding of what he's talking about. And one thing that I do want to note about him is he does periodically host spaces on X kind of at random times. I think he did on Thursday out of the blue, and just said I might do a space if people want to join. And I saw that when I was at work. There wasn't much going on at work, so I was able to join. And it's just him talking for like half an hour, taking questions from people. And so I just think that he's a really great person to follow on X. I don't have alerts going, but I do think that he is a person that is worthy of having those alerts on there. I just check his stuff a lot. But this is from an hour ago. He had posted Cypher. 2175, ASST 149, so maybe like 150 or 169, something like that would be a good, just to get a small position, a starter position in ASST. I'm just talking about what I'm thinking about doing, but you do you. But that's one that I'd like to participate in addition to my very small position in Cypher. But then there's also Iron. He says, 6674. That's one that I haven't really been following too much, but he's just got the eyes on there from, an hour prior to that post. He said, watch what happens when the overnight market opens in 75 minutes. And so I actually didn't see the overnight pricing of those, but, I wasn't looking too hard necessarily. And let's see, he followed up with this post, the trust me, whatever post, just saying that you are warned. And yeah, again, I think that he's a great person to follow. And wow, futures ripping. And yeah, he talks about some financial stuff and, whatever, just giving his perspective. And generally, yeah, I just think that he's a great person to follow. And this from the thumbnail that I added kind of late is from him. I did not make that. I just removed the background and threw it up there. And, he's one of us. He's just having fun. He just happens to be, a very well-established, very smart guy. And yeah, so I'd encourage you follow him, check out stocks that he talks about. And yeah, this is his profile over here. And then now I'm just going to pull up some stuff from the channel just so I can mention real quick kind of the stuff that I put out over the past week. One is AMC put out a video earlier today. It's a 44-minute long video. Sorry, it's kind of long, but hopefully there's a lot of information in there that's useful for you guys. Since I did do that AMC video today, I'm not going to be going over it in any of the requests. But, I will be following up if we do see something going on with that, later. Something exciting, levels held or broken, whatever. Crypto Corner, Sat Stacker, I'm going to actually mix those up a little bit next week, making a video shorter. I'm going to do all the populating of data beforehand because it's just too much. It's too draining for me to do that. And people don't watch, only 16 views. And I understand it. I'm going to try to make those a little bit more digestible. So next week, I'll experiment with that. Also, I did put out this video on UAMI, which is USA Antimony, United States Antimony Corporation. Just posing the question, is it the next multi-bagger? This was based on a post that I saw from the Bronx Viking about this spike in, an order on a contract. I did cover that in the video. You can check it out if you like. I have a very small position in it, share position, no contracts, but it's one that I'm intrigued by. I will be doing another Power Pack pull video out on Wednesday, but I'll probably be opening cards on Tuesday. Snapchat, that's one that I'm very interested in. Halloween coming up on Friday, so maybe we see, a big move to the upside as I kind of have illustrated on that thumbnail. It's only had 66 views. I think it's been boring people out, consolidating to the side. I think it might be breaking out soon, so I feel really good about that, going to $9 or $10. That's a trade, so do with it as you will. Did want to share the levels that I had gone over in a prior stream about Beyond to see if that's helpful for people. But really, stuff like that, it ends up being a distraction from, in my view, stuff that's a little bit better quality, like calling the top on gold. I nailed that. I think I was a day off, but it pulled back like 6% or something like that. I don't know exactly. I'm not participating in it. But it was just, I think a really nice video, 29 minutes. I go over my thesis. I think that's a useful thing to consider. Just if I do put out videos that don't get many views, maybe it's because I'm right and people just don't want to hear it. And so, yeah, those are like the videos that I just wanted to go over there so you guys are familiar with them. But yeah, we'll pull up the chart here. I guess just at the very end, maybe I should mention ASST. This is Strive. I had apparently gone over it in the past here, but it didn't retrace. And so what I might do is I might just delete these Fibonacci retracements, delete this extension, delete this retracement. This is on the daily. This is on linear. And we can see that 50-day simple moving average is at 368. Colin had a level at 308, I believe, $3 psychological. So just consider that. Levels that I would be paying attention to, 368. Maybe we blow past that, like Beyond went past the moving average, but then pulled back down. Levels that could be acting as either support or resistance if we do go higher. Just kind of like the consolidation highs over here, 270. But if we do get above 270, there's not too much consolidation just above there, so then maybe it could run. So maybe like a level of resistance would be like the consolidation lows around 230, but maybe we gap up above those levels and really start to launch. This level here at 628, I don't really know what I think about that. But yeah, I really don't remember going over this chart in the past. But it did pull back. It did fill that gap. And if Mike Alfred's saying this could be going to 50 years from now, potentially, maybe that's really exciting. Look at this volume behind that. This could be setting up very similar to Beyond. And so I wouldn't be surprised if this went to like $6 early in the week. So, it says the market's closed. I don't know if there's overnight trading with it. I'm just going to look on my phone because I can see it there. And I just see after hours, so on Webull at least, I can't be trading this now, but I'm really intrigued by it, and it would be a very small position, so I could very unemotionally hold, turning, a dollar, $2 per share to $50 over the long term. I believe in Mike Alfred, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully that little intro was useful for you guys. I will release that as a clip, and I will also be going over the requests as a clip later on. And so I'll start looking at those. But before I do that, I've had it sitting here. Cheers to you guys. I've been in kind of a wine mood lately. And so, yeah, I got a bottle, ate some pizza and a cookie before the stream. And so, yeah, cheers to you guys. Hopefully you're having a great Sunday, had a nice weekend. Looking forward to the week ahead. I think it's going to be a really exciting one. But maybe we see a sell-off towards the end. Maybe it starts really green. Maybe it doesn't end really green. We'll see. But I just feel really excited. So cheers to you guys. And cheers to the market. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through the requests, and I will note what people are requesting. If I don't get to it, probably in the next half an hour, then I'm going to end the stream so I can release those clips, and then I'll kind of have a plan for tickers that you guys want me to cover. I could do videos on them. That keeps me motivated to be putting out more material if I do see stuff in the charts. So let's just go over these requests. So Ricardo did have a request for Givo, and let's see, RKT, which I believe is Rocket. Rocket boosters are